And Carl's usually with us by now.
He's right there. You can't see him.
What's happening, Drew?
There he is. What are you talking about?
Carl!
We're like staring at him.
How you doing, buddy?
What's happening, man? I've been back in the Dabbleverse. I've been sucked back in. Oh my God!
Wow, what a week! So, if people don't know, I did an emergency episode yesterday. Stuttering John set up a live show in Rochester for March. It's a ways out. And he's already had a huge falling out with the guy who booked him, Vinny Paulino.
and Carl,
works at the Comedy Club.
I was watching Vinny, who was befriending John, and John was so angry because Vinny's been your friend for over a decade. And how can you be friends with that Carl, that Lady K, and all these names he calls you and whatnot? And Vinny is just tap dancing and somehow managing to keep it together. And then Vinny just exploded last week. He reminds me of the guy. Remember at the beginning of Wide World of Sports, the guy that skied and got that terrible accident?
Yes.
Vinny's like the mental version of that. He just seemed completely destroyed, and finally he just exploded about John and how difficult it was to work with him. And Carl, take it from there. I don't know what's going on now. I've been watching as much as I can.
Let me tell you what happened. So Vinny came on my show on Saturday and actually didn't say anything bad about John, but of course John took everything he said the wrong way. So John went off on Vinny on Sunday morning on his show.
I saw that.
So then I do a show yesterday afternoon. Normally I wouldn't, but it's me and Jenny Jingles and Shuli Egar, and we're watching the clips from John's show on Sunday bashing Vinny. All of a sudden, I start hearing my doorbell ring upstairs.
Oh, no.
And I go, Jen, can you go get the door? It sounds like someone really he's keeping it over and over again. Vinny's at my house. He was listening in his car. Decided to stop by.
That's great.
And he really popped off.
Great.
I enjoyed your emergency special because it was almost two shows in one. And you had your first one with you, Jenny, and Shuli. And then Shuli leaves, and boom, here comes Vinny Paulino, and he's fired. He's shot out of a cannon. He is so angry, and it's the first time he's responded to all this.
He's been mentally maimed by trying to be John's friend, it seems like.
Oh, he had to take off on Monday. We didn't do the creep off because he's like, Carl, I just need a day off. And then it turns out he ends up on my show. He was on Uncle Rico yesterday. So he's been doing the rounds with this. But I was so proud of him. The way he finally went off on John and let him know how difficult it is to deal with him and work with him. It was really fantastic. What a great show yesterday.
It seemed like you kind of shot down John's response, which was he spent 40 minutes of his podcast, and I watched all of it, and he kept using the term, not once. Had he ever done anything unprofessional? Not once has he ever been late for anything. Not once has anyone, he went through, Brandon Tartikoff thought he was just the greatest. He has it or whatever. all these huge names who said all these great things about John, which, by the way, he never forgets a compliment or a time he made someone laugh. But I think you poked a hole in that not once thing.
Yeah, did you see? So the episode I did yesterday, I played him saying he's never been late to a show. He's never been drunk at work. Yes. And I find the clip immediately when he was on Stephanie Miller. He shows up late. The host, Stephanie Miller's like, where you been? What's going on? She seemed really pissed.
Yes.
And he sits down and cracks a beer immediately. First thing he does. Unbelievable.
That was hilarious. Because I thought of Stephanie Miller because that's one job that went very south for John. And I was like, well, he didn't mention Stephanie Miller in all these, this description of what a great professional he is, which, oh my God, didn't he start with jobs when he was 12 years old?
I kid you not. So the first 42 minutes of John's show on Sunday morning to prove that Vinny Paulino's the problem, he went through his entire resume, starting with his paper route when he was 10. It took forever, and he talks very slowly. So then he's like, and then I worked at the tire wholesale store when I was 13, working 13-hour days.
13-hour days.
No child labor laws, apparently.
Yeah, exactly.
So ridiculous. So anyway, yeah, I'm glad you're sucked back into the Dabbleverse. It's been fascinating lately. John has been on the internet more than ever. He's doing shows all the time. He's pissed at everyone. He's having fallen outs with everyone as usual. So we're having a good time with that.
Is he still friends with Cardiff?
No, he said he doesn't want to work with a potato. That was great, too, because he's going, I'm a professional. I worked at the Tonight Show. I'm not going to work with a vegetable.
Because Cardiff wouldn't take his mask off to work with John?
So John's whole thing is he wants to know what Cardiff looks like and what his real name is. And Cardiff says, John, if I do that, you're going to dox me. John goes, no, I won't.
Yes, he
will. John has doxed everyone, including his friend DG. He just slipped up on his show this week and used his real name.
Wait, DG's back with John?
No, but John doxed him.
Oh, okay.
He doxes everyone. He can't help himself. He's spelling my last name. I don't use my last name on my show. I try not to. I want to make it a little bit difficult for people to ruin my life. And so John goes on and spells my name multiple times to make sure everyone can look me up and find me. That's like his power to dox people. He loves it.
He's been having fun with his incredible musical ability too, which I never heard him talk about that in all his professionalism discussions. Did he get into his music career too?
Oh yeah, he talked about Atlantic Records.
Oh,
he
that's
went down
right.
and met with the guy and played his acoustic guitar. The guy goes, "I love what you're doing here." He's so delusional. Listen, I have John's album. I'll have to play it on a show, like maybe a bonus show at some point.
Well,
we'll go through song by song.
He's been coming up with these spontaneous songs to show how brilliant he is. And he did a song about Shuley, and it was the worst song. I mean, a 12-year-old could have come up with better rhymes than that. Plus, his guitar sounded like shit.
We can't do it justice by just saying it's the worst thing you've ever heard. People wouldn't believe us, but I swear to God, it's the worst thing you've ever heard because the lyrics were terrible, the melody was terrible, the guitar was out of tune, he doesn't know how to play chords. And then he gets through this whole thing, goes on for 3 minutes. He puts the guitar down and goes, "Yep, I'm pretty talented. I can do it all."
See what I did there?
Crazy. It's crazy.
Oh, man. Well, it's going to be, as soon as I get off today, I'll probably, did you do a new show today?
No, this is all I'm doing today.
Oh, I mean, did John do a new show today?
Oh, no, he's going on later today. I think he's on at 6:30 Eastern.
Okay.
Today. He's on a different time slot for some reason.
Been putting him on Twitter, and so it's been taking up so much of my time. I watch his show, then I watch your show, and it's like, oh my God, because the transformative content is much more fun, but the original content, I can watch a certain amount of it and be just absolutely fascinated by John and how delusional he is. So it is funny. Plus, he's so disorganized, and he's looking up an email for like 5 minutes. In fact, you fast forwarded, I think, didn't you?
I had to play it at 4x speed to get through it on my show. So I just wanted to show how bad he is because, 5 minutes goes by and he goes, "Well, I can't just be looking for this forever. I got to do my show." You should have thought of that 20 seconds in, John. What are you doing?
I was also laughing at your bonus episode there, your emergency episode, when John is trying to find the text messages so he can read the whole text thread, and so you just put that on in the background while you and Vinny are talking, and that was really funny because for about 4 minutes you could just in the background while you guys were having a conversation. Just hilarious.
He was trying so hard not to dox anyone or screw up because every time he shows his screen, he'll pull up his email or his Twitter DMs, and we find out all this information about what he's up to behind the scenes. So now he's very nervous about doing that. So he spends, like you said, 4 or 5 minutes trying to get his screen sharing set up. He finally does it. And he outs that this guy Muttering Jay, who's a Twitter user, is the guy responsible for getting one of Shuley's sponsors to cancel on the Shuley network. And John did not want that to get out. So it's like, even when he spends 4 or 5 minutes making sure he's not fucking anything up, he still fucks it up. He's great.
So this guy went to Shuley's sponsor and said, "I don't think you want to be sponsoring the show."
Yes, because it was one of those things. They're bullying a guy with a disability, one of those kind of things.
Oh, because of his stutter?
Yes.
He doesn't even stutter anymore.
No, he just slurs. He's just an alcoholic.
Oh my God. And so the sponsor went, "Mr. Shuley, we're very sorry, but we're going to have to cancel."
Correct. And, usually it takes more than one tweet, but Factor Meals are just like, "We don't want any heat at all. We'll just get out of the way."
Oh, Jesus. So I wonder how much that cost Shuley.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't
That
talked to him
sucks.
about it. It's annoying.
Well, today you're getting into the Osbournes, and I watched a good part of the episode, Carl. I'm really excited to see what you've plucked out of here. It's got to be the most inaccurate podcast ever, and apparently no one can Google anything either. Should someone be able to Google some of these things they can't seem to put their fingers on?
I didn't pull this clip, but they said, which Ozzy album sums up your year so far in 2023?
What a dumb question.
Jack didn't even know what the albums were. Like, that's embarrassing. Your dad sitting across from you.
Oh, come on.
That's not good. Yeah,
Carl,
they didn't know what the fuck was going on.
I'm dying to ask you this because I just want to make sure I didn't mishear it. They were doing Q&A, and there was another incredibly dumb question. If you could, dig up anyone and have them at 3 people at a dinner party, who would you choose? And Jack.
Okay, hold on before you do anything.
Okay.
'Cause I have a clip. But I do want to hear your take on this, but I just want to play a couple clips first, though, since you're talking
My
about
take,
that.
Carl, is that I can't believe I heard what I thought I heard.
Okay, so let's start with this is my track number 8. Now they have a hat and they're pulling viewer questions out of the hat. They've already run out of ideas. They don't know what to do with this show. So they're pulling questions out of the hat. My track number 8, this is where they ask this question.
Oh, hang on a second. I'm having an issue.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I don't know what happened here.
The worst questions, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You said number 8?
Yes.
All right, here we go.
All right, fun question for the family. We like a fun question. If you could bring back 3 people from the dead for a dinner party, who would you invite and why?
Okay. First off, this seems like a terrible question
Yeah.
for the Osbournes.
Awful.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine. So before you talk about Jack's answer, I just want to play my track number 9. Sharon has the worst possible answer.
Mom?
Mine would be Robin Williams.
God.
That's a good one.
Yeah, love him, miss him so much.
That's the one person I wouldn't
No.
bring back for a dinner party.
No, and by the way, how's he going to interact with Nelson Mandela, who she's bringing back?
Well, now I'm all in. That'd be great to watch him interact with Nelson Mandela.
I would feel so sorry for Nelson Mandela, who's...
He'd probably
God.
be asked to be locked up again. He doesn't want to be around Robin Williams.
It was so stupid. So what was your observation on Jack's response to that?
Did Jack say something about Thomas Jefferson that is not historically accurate?
He said that Thomas Jefferson was against slavery, and I went,
Vehemently.
I don't know if that's true.
Vehemently against him. He also said he thought he was one of the coolest founding fathers. So really, he thinks there's that many founding fathers that are cool or uncool. He's really analyzed the founding fathers that carefully.
I was surprised because he goes, I've read his books after they wrote the Constitution, and he had a lot of really good progressive ideas. Like Jack Osbourne is reading Thomas Jefferson for real?
Carl, do you think he's comprehending very well? Though he says he was a vehement anti-slavery guy. He impregnated a slave.
He did, yes. He's so pro-slavery that he actually sleeps with them. So yeah.
In fact, the University of Virginia, which he built, you're not allowed. The president of the university is not allowed to reference Thomas Jefferson because he's deemed so horrible by the student body, which I don't agree with necessarily. But I mean, that's how horribly he's thought of in terms of slavery. So I don't think Jack's paying attention.
So this is interesting because I just Googled it, and this is the first thing that popped up, that publicly he was consistent opponent of slavery, but privately, yeah, we all know he owned slaves and nailed them. So, I mean, I think your actions are a little more important than your words there, TJ.
Yeah, I just thought, does Jack know something that no one else knows, or is he dug a little? Because that just doesn't
hold on
seem
a second,
right.
Mark. Let's think about this. Now, I don't own an EV. Do I want admissions going off into the atmosphere? No, but it's not convenient for me to have an EV. So I don't. I have a gas-powered vehicle. I think it's the same thing with Thomas Jefferson. He's like, well, I don't like slavery, but I got a shitload of land over here.
You put your dick in that car?
Fair enough.
Carl, the first question, did you happen to know? So first of all, it took them 7 minutes to get the first question because they had to debate. They are so easily distracted on this show.
Yes.
They had to debate chocolates because somebody had a chocolate, and it's just like, oh my God, could you people please focus? The first question was about Sharon's disco song she put out in '78, and it went on for 17 minutes.
Huh.
And
One
I have
question.
a bunch of clips from this. Okay.
Carl's getting so bummed that you're listening to the shows before we do this.
You and I are on the same page. I love that you're picking up the same things that I am.
See, I don't have to get clips. Carl gets the exact clips I'm
Exactly.
thinking of.
I know. And actually, when you were talking before about watching Stuttering John stuff, feel free to send me notes because I can't watch all the stuff.
I will.
It's too
I will.
much.
I wanted to, but I thought, oh, Carl's got to be so overwhelmed with this. But I will.
Timestamp it,
lot.
Drew.
I will.
Yeah. So yeah, starting with my track number 2, they finally get to the first question. And it's funny because Jack, who kind of is the showrunner, Jack wanted to get right to the questions. And the rest of the family's like, well, let's say hi first. And then they have to go around and talk about candy. And it's like, oh, this is all a waste of time. We should have just gone right to it. But okay, yeah, let's get into this.
Sharon's secret disco song. Yes,
Yes, we
fucking have.
Yes, we
Oh,
have.
Sam, why did you do this to me?
Oh,
Sam,
here we
where
go.
do you live? I'm coming
Here
after
we
you.
fucking go. Oof, get ready.
Oh,
Dad, have you heard this?
This is mind-bending.
You are not the only singer in this family.
Yes.
Who knew Kelly and I came from such greatness when it comes to music?
Oh, God.
Ozzy.
I know he's clueless about it.
Okay, so you just heard right there. They said, you're not the only singer in this family. Who knew that Mom had a song out in 1978? It's called Can You Strike Oil in Hollywood? She was in a group called the Chicettes. And so you just heard the way they set that up. Listen to the first question. This is my track number 3. The first question that Ozzy asks them.
Well, let it play, and then I'll tell you why we did it and why it was called.
Who's singing?
Your beloved wife is singing.
She's singing.
Oh my God, he's so out of it.
So he's just asked twice who's singing, even though they've already set it up that she's singing. This is her singing, her group. So they start playing the music. My track number 4. Listen to the question Ozzy has to ask.
Oh no.
Is that you singing?
Yes.
He's so disinterested. Oh God.
Is that you singing? Yes, that's the whole reason we're listening to this right now, Ozzy. What do you mean?
Carl, how did you like the story about what inspired the song, by the way?
It was so stupid.
And so
I didn't-
long.
I couldn't even clip it. Yeah, it just went on for
Exactly. I knew you couldn't clip it. That's why I asked. It Ozzy is the worst, dumbest, longest story. It was so unnecessary and not worth it. And then they get into one of the people that inspired it. She claimed wrote the Rocky soundtrack for Rocky 1.
So everyone is so confused. This is my track number 5. No one knows what the hell they're talking about on this. I had to look some of this up
And there's
myself.
no fact checkers.
His record
Not
label.
78.
It says 1978.
Oh, I thought I said 88. No, 78. Yeah.
Actually, we may.
Yes.
So wait, whose idea was it?
The lady that wrote Rocky.
So the movie or the
Bill
The song,
Conti?
the soundtrack
to Rocky?
that she won an Oscar for.
How do you that? I thought.
But that was.
Hang on, wait, hold on a second. This just
I
gets-
know a tiger.
No, that was his brother that sang that song.
So wait, the woman that wrote the screenplay for Rocky, I thought
Not screenplay,
Oh my God.
the
the theme song.
theme song.
Oh,
Wasn't that I a tiger?
no, Eye of the Tiger was different.
So according to, let's just sum this up right now. I'm trying to make sense of
There's
this.
so much to fix.
According to Sharon, the woman she was in this group with who produced this disco song wrote the score for the first Rocky movie, which was, of course, written by Bill Conti. I think I heard you say
Yeah,
that.
Bill Conti. Gonna fly
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
Now,
No,
right. Now, there were 2 lyricists on that song, Ann Robbins and Carol Connors. So I don't know if that's what she's talking about. Do you guys know what the lyrics are to the Rocky song?
Gonna fly now.
It took 3 people to write that.
That's not impressive.
They each got a word.
But no one would ever reference the Rocky theme by not saying Bill Conti. No one's ever said a female wrote that because you would be confused immediately, which I was.
And then it's great because Ozzy goes, you mean Eye of the Tiger? And she goes, no, her brother wrote that. No, Survivor wrote that. What are you talking about?
No, everybody knows Survivor. It's their only song.
Right. And it was the keyboard player and the guitarist that came up with that. And the reason why the beat goes the way it does, or the chord progression, is because it's supposed to simulate the punching of the boxing match. You know, it kind of goes off time at the intro.
Yeah.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Thank you, Carl.
You're welcome. I just
you for
thought
that
that was
bloop.
so funny because she's just spewing all this crazy information, and Ozzy's completely out of it. He's just continues to sing.
He's just a
no.
pro-
I got this one, Rocky. I got it.
He looked like he's just a prop on this show. Like, you recognize this old man.
You know, he says some funny stuff, but he rarely talks. And honestly, Ozzy's the only one I care about. I can't stand these kids. And when Kelly talks about, I'm only answering questions from my fans, I'm like, fans? Do Kelly and Jack have actual fans?
No.
I can't imagine.
No.
But she thinks she does. I mean, everything is based on Ozzy, and he's barely there. Although he does say some funny stuff, it could use subtitling.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I want to know if there was a closed caption button and see what YouTube would come up with for some of these things. So let's talk about that. The very, very beginning of the show, they have an interrupt button. So they're already bringing gimmicks into this. They already have a toy on the set. So this is my track number 1. We'll see how this sets up.
We are going to start this episode off with a bit of housekeeping. Housekeeping. This is the interrupt button. Kelly, I'm handing it to you. When you are interrupted, or if anyone gets interrupted,
Okay.
that's what has to happen now. So
You guys get prepared to get buzzed because you interrupt me every time I open my mouth.
Okay. That's the big exciting thing they're going to introduce in this episode, the interrupt button. So
I liked them a lot better when they were bratty kids getting yelled at in that house.
Yeah.
You know, when they were a reality show.
Yeah, we all liked it better when there was the Osbournes. That was 20 years ago.
They think they have fans now.
Well, Kelly does do those fashion shows or the red carpet events, right? Doesn't she do shit like that?
Yeah. She's a fashion icon.
Yeah, right.
Tough gig.
But no, she judges fashion shows and she's done stuff on television regarding it. And yeah.
So fast forward about 42 minutes into the episode, and Kelly gets interrupted by Ozzy. Now, the problem with the interrupt button is that Ozzy doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't care about rules. It's not going to stop him. So I wanted to play this clip for you. This is my track number 10. But also, guys, listen to what Ozzy's saying, and please tell me if you understand any of this.
It's like,
What?
where she goes.
I can
Where's she
remember.
I can't read it.
I can remember Friday night.
Kelly.
Friday night.
you broke it. Hit it again.
I can remember on Friday nights
He's still talking.
being in bed and that fucking slide whatever machine. And it was like that hockey thing, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I'd be in bed and it was like having my head kicked in. And your mum, I go, this fucking house like an insane asylum. And your mum go, now you know, it's like you'd be a parent with teenage kids.
What?
Oh, boy. I can't help, Carl.
Was that
Was
machine?
he being annoyed by like a foosball table or one of those air hockey things? It sounded like. I don't know.
I don't know.
You got more out of it than I did.
Drew, maybe you picked up on this because when Ozzy does talk, and the rare occurrences that he does, everyone nods along, and I can't tell if they speak Ozzy and they understand him, or if they're just like, all right, old man, whatever, moving on.
I think they kind of understand him. I think. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they got used to the way of talking like Nell.
My mom had an aunt that had a stroke, and I swear I could never understand what the fuck she was saying, but her husband would always translate for her afterwards, and I was like, how the fuck can he tell what she's saying? Because it was a really bad stroke.
Before the show, I was showing Brandon a video of Stephen Hawking before he lost his voice, where he was talking for real, and you could not tell what he was saying, but the guy sitting next to him could translate it perfectly. Because it was right before he lost his voice.
Yeah, it was pretty eerie hearing his real voice.
It was kind of a bummer. I like the computer voice way better.
Yeah.
Well, then, guys, explain it to us. When Ozzy's done talking, interpret it for the rest of us, because we don't know.
No, it's brutal. When you can understand him, though, he's funny. He does say some funny things. I mean, I would rather hear him talk than the others, for sure, if I know what he's saying.
This episode gets very serious because they talk about drug addiction, and the question comes in about if you're raising kids, how do you keep them from becoming drug addicted? Which the Osbournes probably not the best people to ask this, I would say.
No, and they all give different answers, too. It's like, tough love. No, there's a new kind of rehab. And Ozzy's like, don't pick up the first drink. And, you know, they don't have an answer.
No. Well, obviously, they wouldn't have an answer to this. But
No.
Jack, my track number 7, Jack has a saying that he likes to say.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. As I like to say, once a cucumber becomes a pickle, it can't become a cucumber again.
So profound.
Jesus Christ.
You know what I like to say? You can't put the shit back in the horse. I think it kind of means the same thing.
Oh,
Thanks for that, Jack.
Jack likes to come across as quite a studied guy, doesn't he? Well, his Thomas Jefferson and Founding Father study, which turns out to be complete bullshit.
I know. It works on his family, though. He's the smartest guy in the room, so he's got that.
He's leading the show.
All right, I have one more clip on here because a question comes in that I feel like I would have written. So my track number 6, apparently Sharon and Kelly get distracted by their phone a lot.
Oh, no.
While they're doing the show live.
Why are Sharon and Kelly on their phones while podcasting? Just curious. That's a real fucking question.
Well, I was bored.
You were bored.
What?
I was just checking messages.
You were on TikTok.
Oh my God.
Jack's sitting next to his mom, so he can see that she's on TikTok. So you can tell they've had this conversation off air because he's like, "This is a real question. This isn't coming from me. I know I've been bitching to you two about it, but Kelly's answer is the worst possible answer. I was bored."
Bored, yeah.
Yeah.
Then why do we care?
Why
what's
are we
going on?
watching?
Yeah.
If you're bored doing the show, it's pretty hard not to be bored watching it. And it was pretty boring, to be honest. But Carl, Sharon then tells the story about this incredible artist that she's found as if she can't wait till the show is over to do whatever she's doing studying this artist.
Oh, I know. It's such an excuse. She goes, "Well, I have to be on TikTok. This guy is such a great marketer. He sings so well." It's like, 1 hour a week is all you need.
You're doing
to be
a
on
podcast.
The Osbournes Podcast.
But that was the best question by far.
Yes, I thought that was very good. You know, I remember I was playing in this band years and years ago, and our drummer would do a drum solo during the show, and I remember our bass player would just start talking to me, just having chit chat with me on stage during the drum solo, and I had to tell him, "You can't do that." Because if you're not interested in what our drummer's doing, who else is going to be? Exactly. We're on stage. You got to act like you want to be there and that it's exciting. You can't be bored on your own fucking show, Kelly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame the other night, I saw Stevie Nicks while Frampton was playing a solo or something. She walks over, starts talking to him like, let him play his fucking solo. Come on. It looks too easy if you can just be whispering in his ear and he's having no problem playing it.
I hate that too, because I've gotten thrown off by people trying to tell me something. I'm like, I'm doing something right now. Jesus.
Yeah, he looked pretty busy. Not to mention he was in a chair because he's got a nerve problem. So anyway, but it is Stevie Nicks. So what are you going to do?
So, Drew, I agree. The Osbournes is mostly boring. We said it before. We did them when they came back, the live show that we did at the Magic Bag. These guys were interesting when they had a whole production team and they could edit the hell out of their antics and get it down to the half hour or whatever it was. That would be interesting as a podcast. I don't know. This video had 32,000 views on it. Just came out this morning.
That's not bad. That's pretty good.
They're doing all right. They're doing all right. We'll see what happens. But I heard you talking about Steve O's Wild Ride.
Yeah.
This week.
Yeah, that was a fun episode.
So he just dropped one today with Dee Snider. And I thought, let me check in on that. That might be interesting because I do like Steve O, and we could change it up and talk about podcasts that we enjoy for a minute, right?
Once in a while, maybe.
Every once in a while.
You know, Carl, did you notice, by the way, that the Osbournes podcast had a lot of commercials? Because I usually don't see, even when they have the inserted ones, there were 3 commercials in a row, and Jack did a live one. It was the last one. It was like 2 minutes long for ExpressVPN.
Yeah, I know. That whole story where he goes, I've been using these guys for 5 years because I had to watch this doc that you could only get in England. And so I did all the research. Again, I did all the research. I found the best VPN. And
he's insufferable.
Yeah, those ad reads are terrible, aren't they? He has no charisma.
No, and it just seemed like Steve-O does them in his show. Have you seen Steve-O do them?
Yeah, it's cool because he'll be like, zoom out of his episode and actually segue from what they were just talking about.
Exactly.
Do the ad read and then segue back into it. It's actually kind of a cool technique the way he does it.
Obviously, he does it after the show, and so he refers to what's going on. And I thought it was really well done. But this was just, I don't know. It seemed like of course, it is the Osbournes, so of course they're going to get a lot of advertising interest, and they had a lot of views. So I suppose they probably still do well. They have 130,000 subscribers.
They won't last a year, though, podcasting, I don't think.
I don't either. Did you notice if their views are going down or up?
You know what? I should look at that. I'll take a look at that because, like you said, 130,000 subscribers, but only 32,000 views tells me that things are a little bit out of whack, but who knows?
I've noticed a lot of shows like this where I go to YouTube. I'm like, oh, this one's on YouTube. Cool. And I go, oh, my God, they've got 600,000 subscribers. And then you see, oh, but there's only 50,000 watching. And then I go, well, just dial back about 100 episodes and see what's going on. It's like, oh, my God, they used to have 600,000. I mean, how depressing to see your audience just disappearing before your very eyes. And everyone else can see it happening, too. But I notice a lot of that.
Did you happen to hear I did a segment on the Golden Hour on a podcast we did this past weekend?
I did.
And the Golden Hour, definitely that's happening to them because that's the one that Theo Vaughn left. And so now it's Chris D'Elia, Brendan Schaub, and Eric Griffin. And
I know. No,
It's not entertaining at all. It's so bad.
I'm amazed that there's still 80 or 100,000 people that still watch it. It's just a terrible show. But Theo Von is apparently worth about 600, 700,000 listens.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, losing him was a big deal because the chemistry between the other three. I mean, Eric Griffin, I don't know what he's even talking about at any point. Brendan Schaub is an idiot. And then you got Chris D'Elia, who's just this pompous douchebag that no one would ever root for. You just hate him.
You played a long clip of him a few podcasts ago, didn't you?
You remind me.
You don't remember playing a clip of him?
Chris D'Elia, yeah. I mean, we just did this past weekend.
Yeah, right. It was a long episode where he's making sound effects and doing this weird thing with his hand. What the fuck was that?
That's his style of comedy. He likes to make funny noises and do it over and over again. And he'll do it anywhere too. You might be thinking about who are these socials, because he'll go on Instagram.
Yes. Yeah.
He'll make Instagram videos from his car and just be making dumb faces and noises. And it's like, how is this guy a celebrity? He should be getting teased in high school for what he's putting out on social media.
Not to mention, I hate when he references his wife and his little baby. It's like, you dude, shouldn't you wait a while maybe until you've gotten past this other stuff, which you really haven't gotten past and everyone knows it?
Well, what's crazy is, so if people don't know, Chris D'Elia, there's this amazing documentary that came out like maybe 5 or 6 months ago where someone, there's the Rolling Stone article, but then somebody really went in and talked to these girls that Chris D'Elia was dating in different cities and then flew out to live in this house near him in LA, like a harem.
Ooh.
And so he's running a sex cult, Chris D'Elia is. And there's rumors that the FBI is looking into this. So Chris D'Elia, and some of the girls are underage. I mean, you guys have been over it on this show a lot.
Yeah.
And Chris D'Elia has the balls. He just is putting out a brand new comedy special that's called something like Canceled or something like that. It's like, me versus the world. It's like, you're a criminal. Why are you celebrating yourself?
And they caught him texting, God, I never thought I would think marriage was so cool. And then they can prove that at almost that exact same time, he's texting some young chick, about how hot she is or something. That was such a bust. Oh, my God, was he busted.
But it was worse than that, Drew, because the text he was sending to all the different girls he has, they have to get his permission to leave the house or do anything.
Oh, God.
So the texts are not even flirty, fun texts. They're controlling crazy texts.
Yeah, like R. Kelly.
Out to these girls.
R. Kelly texts.
Yes, very much that style. So, yeah, he's a creep. And I can't believe, I know he still sells out theaters. I know he still has a big following. I can't figure it out because he's not funny to begin with. And when you find out what he's up to, it just seems like a bad guy.
Carl, who are these podcasts with your Corey Feldman, the Harlan Highway? It's got like 28,000 views now, which is really, really good for us. And I thought, is Corey going to make an appearance on Who Are These Socials? You must have taken note of this.
So when I saw that video is doing very well. And so I was doing some research on what's Corey been up to in the podcast world. What can we talk about for today's show? And I found Dan Soder is launching a brand new podcast, and he put out a teaser video, him and Big J Okerson. And the name of the video is something about how Corey Feldman owes them for his musical career, because they're on the show The Bonfire. Now, Dan Soder's left that show, but The Bonfire has been on Sirius XM for a very long time. And they are as obsessed with Corey as you guys are, and they have done some serious deep dives. If you ever want to check out their stuff, on YouTube, they have tons of videos where they're watching his live shows, watching where he yells at everyone in this band and he's mad at the venue and nothing's working his way.
They've been obsessed.
So it was just so funny because Dan Soder's got this new podcast, and the whole, most of the conversation with him and Big J was about Corey Feldman, and they were laughing because they're like, do you realize there's a generation of kids who just think this guy is a musician? All these people have no idea he had a whole movie career.
Yeah, they've been obsessed a lot longer. We stumbled into it. Honestly, I had no idea. I'm like, why? We've only put up 2 Corey Feldman videos. Why are they still getting views? And so we put up a couple more very innocently, and now it's not innocent anymore. We know as soon as Corey Feldman goes up, it's going to get 7 or 8 times the views. It's insane. So anyway, I did see The Bonfire has been on him for years, and they have extreme numbers of views with Corey Feldman. So they obviously found out what we found out a long time ago.
Yeah, and I guess that they've tried to actually interact with Corey, and Corey's wary of that. And they're like, no, we're actually fans. I mean, they're fans in the same way that we are.
Yeah.
But it's like, who doesn't want to go see Corey Feldman live?
Oh, hell, no, I'd love to see him live. I think, didn't they interview one of the Angels, too, that quit the band? That might be why
I think
Corey's
you're
upset.
Right about that.
Yeah.
That might be why. You're right. Good point.
No, but I thought...
Didn't Corey perform in Detroit the same night that we had our live show?
He canceled that show, probably because he got into the the
was
marriage,
right after the
marriage
separate,
fell
yeah.
apart, and
It was like that week. Yeah.
If he reschedules, I will fly back to Detroit with you guys to go see that.
Excellent. He was supposed to be here on the night before Halloween, too, and that got canceled.
it
I
got
don't know why, but-
canceled. Yeah, and it started a whole beef with ICP.
Yeah, ICP's making fun of him, and I don't know what the deal is, but he'll be out there again. We know that. He'll be back for sure. All right, Carl, what's on the next WATP?
Well, he's got more clips.
clips.
We have more clips.
Jeez,
Yeah,
Drew.
yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah. I want to talk about Steve-O's wild ride with Dee Snider real
Oh,
quick. I
okay.
just got a
No,
couple
let's
clips
go.
down
I'm
here.
sorry. No, I thought you said, I thought you acted like you just found it. No, great. I'm delighted.
Yeah, no, I wanted to check this out because I do like Steve-O. I like the way that he does his podcast. And this is something you guys might know about. I'm a modest Twisted Sister fan. I know a lot about them.
I did not know that.
I didn't know this. So maybe I'm an idiot, but Dee Snider's talking about how he went broke in like 91. Like as soon as grunge hit, Twisted Sister was over. His music was getting zero spins, and he went from being a very wealthy rock star to, well, I'll let you play the clip by number 11 here. He talks about it.
To your point, I couldn't sell my catalog. The grunge thing came in so hard. The hair metal was so out of vogue. Nobody would even buy it. I would have given it away. I would have sold it for $10,000, $20,000. My songs, I was broke. I had 3 children. My wife, God bless her, she did all hair, makeup, wardrobe, the Bone logo. She did all those things. She went and worked at a beauty parlor, started doing makeup for bridezillas on weekends, and I went and got a job answering phones at a desk. We only had one car. I'd ride a bicycle there and answer phones, and people come in, and is that Dee Snider on the phone? This is 1991, 92.
Ouch.
Yeah. Now, throughout the 90s, he was working these shitty jobs, and his wife had to work. Like he said, 3 kids. They're trying to keep things together. But in the late 80s, Dee's wife asked him to write a Christmas song. This is the thing I didn't know. And Dee wrote a song called "The Magic of Christmas Day, God Bless Us Everyone."
Does it get played?
Check this out. My track number 12, he talks about this.
So I was working on some songs, and I got a wild idea for a song, and I wrote a Christmas song, not a rock song, and I recorded it. I couldn't sing it. It was just out of my range. Got a female vocalist. Merry Christmas, done. That was the end of it. Cut to, I don't know when it was, late 90s? I'm not sure exactly when it happened. Maybe late 90s. And I'm still on the balls of my ass. And I get a call. The engineer who was in the studio recording that song with me is now working with Celine Dion. And he tells me Celine Dion wants to record my wife's Christmas song.
Wow.
And the first thing I said, did you tell her who wrote it? And they said, not yet. I said, do not tell her. Satan wrote a Christmas song, because I said, just put the fucking song on the record and keep your mouth shut. So that record is the biggest selling holiday album of all time. 14 million copies. It's called These Are Special Times.
Wow.
Did you guys know Celine Dion sings a Dee Snider Christmas song?
Of course not. No.
Absolutely not.
Okay, good. Because I was like, holy shit, how did I not know about this?
Is that really the number 1 selling holiday song of all time? I thought that was
album, I think he meant, didn't he?
album. Okay.
Well, Mark, I looked this up because I went, that can't be true. So, according to Wikipedia, it is 7th all time.
Okay.
The Celine Dion These Are Special Times album. Can you guys maybe guess? I bet you can get a bunch.
Well, Mariah.
Of the,
Mariah's
the
gotta be
6
up there.
above it. Mariah's number 2. all
Elvis
time.
Presley,
Elvis Presley's number 1 all time. Very good.
the Ronettes,
The Ronettes.
Is that a whole
no.
album?
Andy
Yeah.
Williams,
The Chipmunks.
Oh, I would have thought the Chipmunks too, but no.
The Muppets.
Burl Ives.
For our lives, yeah. Bing Crosby.
Number three is one that is a joke that you would think there's no way this guy sold that many Christmas albums.
It's not that grandma got run over by a reindeer guy.
No, Kenny G.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
Kenny G is third. Michael Bublé.
Oh, God.
Christmas is fourth. Then Josh Groban.
No.
Okay, well,
And then the saddest one is the 2001 release of Now That's What I Call Christmas. Remember those albums?
oh yeah.
Yes.
Now I'll defend Dee to this point. It was probably number 2 for a long time because a lot of those came after. So yeah. No, wow, that's impressive.
So, but
He's a really interesting guy. I mean, he's a real smart
Yeah.
guy. The when he sat in front of Congress and just ripped Al and Tipper Gore apart was
he's very friendly,
Brilliant.
too. He's really a
Yeah,
nice
good
guy.
dude.
And I would assume he's got to be doing really well in the nostalgia circuit now, right?
So he explains he doesn't do live performances anymore. He's out of that game. But so what's cool about Dee Snider is that he was humbled. He was humbled in the 90s. He goes, I was the biggest asshole when we were on top. I was a prick to my bandmates. I was a prick to everyone. And I learned he was never a drug guy. They actually had an intervention because he was drinking too much coffee. He goes, this guy's got powder under his nose at 10 a.m. and he's telling me I got to quit drinking coffee. But so he was never a drug guy, but he got humbled, and he says he's changed his life and his perspective. And he seems like just the sweetest guy. After that, so he had publishing rights on that Celine Dion song, so he made bank.
wow.
That song alone bought him the house, and he's set for life. So he got Twisted Sister back together after that, and they recorded the Christmas album. Which I'm not sure if you guys knew that.
No, that.
No. And that did okay?
Probably not, but I remember covering one of their songs years ago. So
I think
so
did we talk about this on the show? I feel like we did. That forever Twisted Sister could not get signed to a label. They could play clubs and draw 2,000 weekend after weekend after weekend, but they couldn't get signed, and they were such a big live act. And I think it was because he was such an asshole.
It could have been because, they were huge in the Northeast. He talks about how Metallica opened for them.
Wow.
Back in the 80s.
Wow.
And then he was on this tour. He was talking about the whole thing with doing the cameo in Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah.
And at the time, they were playing with Iron Maiden. It was Twisted Sister and Iron Maiden playing at whatever the arena was back then. 5 sold-out nights in a row.
Oh, my God. Well, it's amazing how grunge could just obliterate everything in its path. I mean, the Beatles did that, but nothing else really did it. The British invasion in '64, but honestly, isn't it weird that grunge could just completely obliterate? I mean, Motley Crue was obliterated. Everyone was obliterated.
Yeah, everyone got wiped out. And it's almost like because it got so silly, the makeup and the hair and the outfits and everything, all of a sudden, because that was my generation, I was into punk rock, and then grunge came around. I'm like, great, this is awesome. Where we all just started pointing at the bands that our older siblings liked. I went, what, you like these guys?
Yeah.
This is not cool at all. You don't realize that? Like, oh shit, you're right. What was I thinking?
Yeah, the hair bands were not destined to last. I mean, I'm not surprised they got wiped out, but it seemed like anyone who didn't sound like Seattle just could not do anything at that time.
Well, it's funny you bring up Motley Crue because my next track, he brings this up because he's talking about other rock stars who were humbled, and Steven Tyler's one of them. Steven Tyler hit rock bottom with heroin, and I guess Dee came across him at this time, and he was with his manager, and Steven Tyler needed to borrow $5,000 from his manager, and his manager gave him $5,000, and he goes, he looked like a shell of himself. So my track number 13.
I can't play it. My computer.
Oh, no.
My computer just froze up.
Oh, bummer. Okay.
Yep. I don't know why.
Hey, that reminds me, why is Stuttering John's computer freezing up all the time, Carl?
He needs a new computer. The computer that he's using is the one that Heather W. bought for him like 5 years ago or something like that. He needs a new one.
Yeah, when he asked, now, he's really been making, I didn't mean to bring Stuttering John up, but I just thought of that when our computer froze up, which really never happens. But he's talking such big shit about how much money he has and all these pensions he has, but it seems to me, he had to have a listener buy him a new computer, and then wasn't he raising money to go to Washington to do this incredible series of interviews?
For 9 months, he was begging for money to do that.
So why does he beg for money for all these things if he has all this money? He should buy his own fucking computer.
The funniest thing is he's ragging on me because he found out that, so my second home in Florida, I rent out.
Yeah.
As a, vacation rental.
It's a good move.
Which is why I bought a second house in Florida for another revenue stream. And John thinks that proves that I'm broke and desperate for money. Meanwhile, John is yet to furnish his house in Florida. We both live in the same area. He has no light fixtures and no furniture in that house. So I think I'm probably doing better than him.
Wow.
I'm back up, by the way.
Okay.
So if you wanna- This is about heroin. Is that what you said?
Well, this is yeah.
Okay.
Did you do heroin?
Okay, I guess I'm not back up. Hang on. Jesus fucking Christ.
Hey, it's fine. It gets me an opportunity to play this real quick.
Please stand by. Drew and the gang are experiencing technical difficulties. Blame will be assessed shortly. Please stand by.
What a question to ask. Did you do heroin?
Did you do heroin?
I was not a heroin guy, but
So you do heroin.
Remember to shut the fuck up.
Sorry, I had to play my own Ted Williams drop.
Oh my
there.
God, yeah, I'm so confused as to what's going on. Okay, here we go.
Go ahead, play it.
By the way, did you do heroin?
Did you do heroin?
I was not a heroin guy, but
So you do heroin. You know heroin guys?
I was a big heroin guy, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you guys. I mean, when I see guys who wrote books, the heroin. I'm sorry, they write books about being on heroin. The heroin guys I know, they couldn't find their dick, let alone a pencil to take notes. Come on, man. Come on. It's either purely fictitious or you weren't high. You weren't high, okay? That's it. So anyway, but by the way, to his credit, Steven Tyler paid my manager back.
I want to say this because it's funny. This is all on Steve-O's Wild Ride, and he hasn't said anything, but the pure joy of him, being interested in what's going on, unlike Kelly Osbourne in the previous one, is great because he is really invested in everything Dee is saying. It's nice to see.
And they do their research.
Yeah.
He knows what questions to ask him. They're really tuned in on that. So he's calling out Nikki Sixx. I read the Heroin Diaries. It's a fantastic book.
I agree.
I recommend it.
Yeah, no, it was
really
fascinating.
fascinating. Because he would write like a couple sentences a day, pretty much, just a couple things that happened. But then he would get Slash and Vince and all these guys to write in their experiences with him during the same time. So if you're interested in Motley Crue and that whole era, I think it was 1985 or 86 was the year he was documenting in that book.
And
I just love that Dee Snider calls him out.
Yeah.
And Carl, he's also talking about all the chicks that sort of land in his world while he's doing heroin too, and the great sex
Prince's
they have.
girlfriend.
Yeah, Vanity Six, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
So yeah, that's dangerous territory right there.
Yeah, it
Nikki
seemed like
Sixx.
it was a pretty good life for being strung out on heroin. He did have some fun, no doubt.
Oh yeah, they were touring the whole time, and he was keeping it up, putting out albums. I don't know how he did it, but it's a fascinating read. Like you were saying the other day, is if everyone's recovered and they're telling the tales, they're very interesting to listen to. If things don't work out well, it's not as fun. But
I'll tell you what was kind of harrowing was hearing when Steve was interviewing. What was the guy's name that was on? We were talking about Nathan, not Nathan.
Brandon
Novak.
Brandon Novak. When he was talking about running out of heroin in Europe, where he couldn't get anything, and just doing shows completely, I thought, oh my God, I can't imagine anything that horrible. Honestly, I don't know how these guys do that where they travel that far and have to rely on people, and people don't come through.
Yeah, next thing you know, you're putting a rock in your ass.
Yes,
for $100.
The stress would be so. I can't imagine doing that. Honestly, just sounded so bad.
well, isn't that Taylor? I'm blanking on his name. From
Taylor
Foo
Hawkins.
Fighters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was the problem. His problem was he couldn't find what he needed, and so he just found whatever he could get. And
Yeah.
Oh, is that what? I did not know that.
Yeah.
What was he doing to get by? Was he doing heroin or fentanyl or something?
I thought it was.
remember what it was.
I thought it was. He ended up getting fentanyl
Okay. Yeah.
instead of the heroin, but I could be misremembering.
Okay, so he was doing heroin at regularly.
Oh yeah. Well,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that's weird because did anyone think Taylor Hawkins was on drugs? I thought he was all sober.
I mean, every time
he's always played well. He always seemed with it.
and he is on every documentary that Dave Grohl's on, and he's talking very lucid. So
Yeah. I mean, I just thought he had been through that whole thing. I mean, of course, people fall off the wagon all the time. I'm not judging him, but I mean, that was so terribly sad. And he did seem like a guy, although, he didn't want to tour that much. He just wanted to keep his place in the band. And so I think he went along with everything, but I think he really wanted to slow down. And maybe that was because of where he was with his life. Who knows?
Yeah, I wish I could be that together and a drug addict. That's why I'm not a drug addict, because I wouldn't be able to be that together. I'd fuck up immediately.
Yeah, these
Never
functional
would
drug
know.
addicts just blow my mind.
Right. I mean, it seems like a lot of fun until all of a sudden I'm on a Zoom call with the Drew and Mike show and nodding off, you know? So that's why I don't do it. I have one more clip that I want to play.
I gotta say,
now.
I just looked it up, by the way, and it said that people believe he was not on hard drugs at the time. So who knows? What exactly? I thought he was on something that led to his death.
I thought so too.
Heart, but
yeah.
So who knows? Whatever.
So he's dead.
Exactly.
I got to look that up.
All right, so the last clip I have, so it's Steve-O's Wild Ride. And so the way that they're recording this, they're in a van. And they're just parked in a parking lot. Now, I don't know if that's the most ideal location to do a live podcast. In this last clip, Dee Snider's talking about how he first met Howard Stern in the dressing room at David Letterman. Howard Stern had called Dee Snider ugly on the radio that day. So Dee punches through the door to confront Howard, and you'll see what happens here.
You know, and I just go straight up and everyone's, hey, Dee, what's going on? I said, where's Howard Stern? They go, oh, he's in the dressing room. I kick open the fucking door, and he's in there with Fred, Jackie, Robin, and him. The biggest dork I ever saw. I mean, little clear glasses, a little afro.
Somebody outside.
Oh, we gotta stop?
Yeah, it's in the window.
They're harassing us about if we have a parking pass.
Over here, dog.
Yeah, I was hoping y'all to put us where I can easily see it so I wouldn't have to bother y'all.
Thanks, man.
This y'all too?
Yeah.
It ain't supposed to be like that, but it's all right.
All right, cool. Yeah, we're almost done.
I ain't gonna switch y'all, man.
Cool.
I was hoping y'all had one. I'd hate to mess with this car.
Thank you for the respect.
Okay, so who's the dorkiest guy?
So, yeah, dorkiest guy, corduroy pants on.
It's a bit of an interruption right there.
Oh, man. Oh, that's great. I don't know. I don't know about the environment. It seems like a very small place to do a show, but I have to say what comes out of there, I've generally enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah. You know, one of the things I've noticed, I was watching Dan Soder today with Big J. They're sitting on a couch, and at least the way that they're propped up in that van, everyone's comfortable and has space and can sit upright.
Yeah.
When you see these shows where they're sitting on a couch, immediately the posture goes to shit. No one looks good sitting on a couch. The couches are comfortable. We're not supposed to broadcast from a couch. It's always the worst thing to be sitting on when you're doing a show.
It seems sloppy.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't look good. Yeah.
It looks bad. It looks uncomfortable. And I know Bert Kreischer does it too, where he's got his feet up. And I just always feel bad for the guests who have to sit on a couch and try to do a show.
Have you done, for who of these podcasts, have you done Big J and the Bonfire?
We have not, no. Probably because I would enjoy it too much.
Yeah, no, it's a show that does really well. And, I mean, it's in a new incarnation now. I don't think it's as popular as it was because didn't Soder leave and...
Yeah, Bob Kelly joined the show, Robert Kelly.
Yeah, I just know from Reddit, but who knows from Reddit because nobody likes anything on Reddit. But
right. Well, I mean, anytime something changes, people aren't going to like it. But I used to love Dan Soder. He used to go on Opie and Anthony quite a bit. And he was so funny. He does all these impressions. I just saw him do stand-up in Rochester a couple weeks ago. He's fantastic. And Big J's always funny, too. He does a really good job. So that's why the Bonfire I never really got into. But every time I see clips, I'm like, all right, these guys know what they're doing. I don't know that I'd have a lot to say about it.
Yeah, no, well, Kelly was not getting good. People were showing Soder a lot of love, which is unusual on Reddit. So maybe there's some truth to it.
That.
But anyway, okay, so have we played our clips?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yes, that's
what's on the next two of these podcasts?
All right, so we're recording tomorrow afternoon. If you're on our Patreon or Supercast, you can watch it live at 5 p. Eastern Time. We're talking about Where My Mom's At, hosted by Christina P. from Your Mom's House. Of course, Tom Segura's wife.
Does she have a big audience for this show?
Yes.
Oh, God.
I know. I know.
I'm probably going to like the podcast a lot, though. I like these takedowns of these shows that have no business being popular, but they are anyway. It just makes you feel a little bit better.
Oh, we just did on the most recent, it's not the most recent, because I did an emergency show yesterday, but on our normal weekend show, episode 459, we talked about the deep dive with June Diane Raphael and Jessica St. Clair.
That was a great segment.
I hate those two.
Yeah, that was a great segment. What
they
a
have this
snob.
thing, they have this life coaching academy you can sign up for. So gullible women can give them $9 a month, and they'll teach them how to do their makeup and how to decorate for the holidays and like all this nonsense.
No, Carl, that blew my mind. I was dying to know how many people actually paid $9 a month for that shit. What a pile of bullshit. What a hustle.
The funniest part, if you guys haven't seen it, is I go to their FAQ page on their website. So, frequently asked questions. There's only one question, and it's what's your cancellation policy?
No, that was a really good segment. I enjoyed it, and I didn't expect to. So, really enjoying the show lately, and I'm back in the Dabbleverse. So you're chewing up a lot of my time, Carl.
Love it. I love it because I can tell because I listen to your show, as you know, and every now and again you're like, "That's just like how Stuttering John does blah blah blah." And, like I can tell that you're always thinking that. It's so funny. That's how I am too. So don't feel bad.
All right, Carl, have a good one.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
See you, buddy.
See ya.
Later.
All right.